God. Those practices that Paul said to the Thessalonians that Eric read, I'm not going to read them all again, but I just want to just shout out a couple of them. Recognize and rejoice always. Again, I say rejoice. Rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I say rejoice. Paul said that constantly throughout his letters. Pray without ceasing. And people have said to me, how do you do that? Now, there are two things to do that. Number one, be awake to the fact that God is everywhere. And secondly, look for God. Don't spend your day just going one thing after another. Look out for God. Where am I going to see God next? Those God moments you talked about, that Cindy shared and others have shared. When you look out for God, things all change. It's a whole new game, a whole new way of living when you're looking out for God. Because guess what? You're going to see Him. There's this doctor, I can't remember his name, but he has a lot of patients that come into him, he tells me. And they come in and they have lots of pains and things that they're complaining about and they're worried about. And he, if it's not something that he's diagnosed a particular cause-effect from, he tells them, I want you to take this prescription. And this is what it is. He says, I want you, I wanted to get his exact quote. Okay, I can't find it. I'll remember it. He says, I want you to do something thankful every single day. But I don't want you to do it once. I want you to do it more than once. Every time you come across somebody who does something for you, or you're aware of it, like you're talking about in relationship to like walking in the woods this morning, just simply say, thank you. Thank you, God. Or if it's someone that does something for you, you say thank you. But the doctor said, I want you to do this for 6 weeks, but I don't want you just to say those words. I want you to do it with a smile on your face. So thank you, and you smile. I know it's kind of hard to do that with these masks sometimes. I was in a service this morning with some people, and we were celebrating Rick's light birthday. And I said, I want everybody in the congregation to take off your mask for just a minute and smile at them. I mean, that's one of the ways that we as human beings can really, truly give thanks and gratitude to each other and bless each other. And so what we do is we bless each other by simply saying thank you. And that includes people in our family, and those closest to us as well. Right? There was I heard that when you're doing prayer, when you're talking about, we also have, Paul and I actually have prayer ministry too, the quilts, prayer quilts. And the way we do it is she puts the quilt together and puts the strings through it. And then I put it on the webpage. And then if you like it, that means you're saying a prayer for the person. This person here is for Anne, who is going to be undergoing terrible surgery in about a month. And it's just, so we got this ready. And when I shared it with Anne, she knew that she's going through all this medical things, and she's a nurse, that she had somebody, not someone, as you said, some buddies who were there for her. And the gratitude that came from her was powerful. But here's the interesting thing about gratitude. Gratitude not only is something that the person giving thanks gets something, the person you give it to, it's reciprocal. It's something that really makes a difference. The grace of gratefulness can change our lives. The important thing to express and demonstrate our gratitude to God. I don't know if you read about Dobson. He's written a lot about family life and things along those lines, and he really, in all of his writings, comes around to gratefulness all the time. And he tells a story too about a young couple. And the guy had just gotten his master's degree. He had spent a long period of time, and his wife set up a party for him. And the party was set up in such a way where she had banners and a swim party and lots of food, and she invited everybody. It's a special recognition of her him. Well, he turned the tables. He, without her knowing it, wrote letters to all the people who were invited to the party saying, when we come, I really want to thank Heather because she's the one who took care of everything so I could study. She's the one that was there for me when I didn't have the strength to be like to mow the lawn or do things like that. She did it all. She took care of the kids. She made everything happen. And so she came into the party, and everybody had been set up for this. And she walks in, and they just scream out, "Surprise!" And the signs and everything said, "Heather. Thank you, Heather, for being there for me." See, gratitude, when we express our appreciation to God and to everyone, blesses us as much and even more than it does them. It's a transformative power. I've got too much information here, and I'm just going to go for a closure kind of thing. I read 3 books to prepare for this, believe it or not, and I would recommend them to you. One is Diana Butler Bass. She wrote a book called Grateful. Tremendous. Another one is Susan Muto. She wrote a book called Gratefulness also. And the last one is Brother David Stendhal Ratz. He wrote a book called Gratitude. And they all give ways of saying thank you, but not so much. And it's easy to cut this part of the homily because I had a list of things to do. But I don't want you to listen to that. I want you to listen to your hearts. Where is gratefulness calling you? And I was so blessed myself to be here at the service because I heard that. I heard your gratefulness. For 6 weeks, that doctor asked them to do that. And I want you to know how he reported back. He said they came back and they reported back to him how much more joy they had in their life. How much more they saw God too. They returned and they were able to celebrate that good news of God's love for us. Then I had all sorts of here too. I'm going to cut this out too. There's research out there from scientists and health experts about when you have a grateful heart, how more healthy you will be. But what are the signs? I'll close with this. How do you know you're being more grateful? How do you know? When you start to train yourself to see the silver lining in things. When in the midst of the hurt and the pain, you see the goodness. when you never push against the pace of grace. In other words, patience, that was what we talked about earlier too. When you start to see a spiritual hunger in yourself for more. There was this woman, her name was Teresa. She lived in a town called Avila. She said at the end of her prayer, only God suffices. Only God suffices. When that starts to happen to you, you know you're living in gratefulness. When you start to work daily against the spirit of ingratitude, ungratefulness, when you use what St. Teresa of Lisieux said, she called it her ministry of her smile. When we smile at each other, as the doctor's prescription gave us, then we will all be what the psalmist had said. A grateful heart create for me, O God, and a steadfast spirit renew within me. Amen.
Amen.
You don't record them, but we record them when we give them at the other place, right? Preach. And then people will come to me the next day and they'll tell me exactly how long it was.
Sorry, I'm recording.
Oh. Well, Wendy can tell me later. I just want to say in closing this one last thing. I love you. I really, truly love this church. And I will keep you in my prayers always. And I am so grateful that you called me to be who I am. Thank you.
Thanks for being with us, George. There is in your pew someplace, there should be a little card. I just handed one to Cindy. It has the lyrics to our final song that's called God is Good. This song, we sang it earlier this summer. It's by Jonathan McReynolds, and it's very repetitive. It is a beautiful prayer and a wonderful way to end our service today.
You are at our side, encouraging us every time we fall. to rise and start over again. Amen.
Go and be his hands and feet this week. Amen.